And our final guest is Tyora Moody. She wears many, many hats in the literary industry.
She does.
And I have known her and been connected with her for a long time because you came to the festival we had when we had the literary breakthrough conference connected with the book festival, and you came that year. We were at a hotel. So that might have been our second or third festival, and that was when I met you face to face. But I've been following you and all the things that you've been doing, and
Awesome.
congratulations on just being consistent and staying in the game.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I think I went to that conference even before I started publishing books. So,
Right. You
yeah,
weren't doing books then. You weren't doing
yes.
books. You were helping other authors. Before I forget, I have someone who asked me about virtual book tours. Is that something you do?
I used to. Like you said, I had a lot of hats. I had to let
Okay.
some of those go.
Okay.
So yeah, once you start writing, you have to kind of decide, are you going to take time to write, or are you going to take time to do these other services? So I still do services for authors, but they're limited now. So I mainly kind of just do book covers, book
Okay.
formatting, and then the book coaching.
Okay, you do book formatting
Yes.
too. Okay, because I have people asking me about that. I think you did the cover for a friend of Bonnie Hopkins. Didn't you do one or more of her covers?
Yes, I've done a couple of books for Bonnie. Yeah, I do a lot of
Okay.
books for a lot of Christian fiction and nonfiction authors.
Okay. All right. Well, now that you're a published author, now are you a self-published, or are you with the one of the um, labels?
I'm a hybrid. I
Okay.
started out traditionally published. I actually went to a retreat. I think it was in 2011. It was
Okay.
the retreat that Tiffany L. Warren used to do.
No.
I
Okay.
think it's called the Christian Book Retreat or something like that.
I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
remember
pitched.
that.
Yeah, I pitched to that retreat and got a couple of rejections back, but then I also got an acceptance. So I published 4 books with Urban Christian that was under Kensington. And
Okay.
then after that, I've been pretty much doing the indie publishing thing.
Okay. All right. So, what are your books about? What genre do you focus on?
So my tagline is soul searching mysteries. That's mainly what I write. I enjoy reading and writing mysteries. So I have one cozy mystery. I have a book series that has a private investigator. And then the rest of my series are what I call kind of mystery romance. They kind of go between mystery romance and romantic suspense. So
Okay.
yeah, I like the good whodunit.
Okay, because explain the cozy mystery category genre. I don't understand it. The covers all look like they're almost for children, and then the titles will be a play on words, a play on some common phrase. Because I
Yes.
when I get my book bub emails, cozy mysteries come as part of the list, and all of the cozy mystery titles are like plays on words. So just what is that? What is a cozy mystery exactly?
Yeah, sure. A lot of people are always curious about that. So a cozy mystery is a mystery that doesn't have a lot of graphical elements to it. Like you don't see the murder on stage. Sometimes they don't even describe, you won't see a lot of bloody things that you would see in a thriller or a suspense novel or a harder core mystery. It also has a little bit of humor to it. And then it's usually set in a small town. So there might be a large cast of characters. And there's different types of cozy mysteries. You have people who are into food. So you have culinary mysteries. You have people who are into knitting. So you may have the mystery around the knitting community. There's coffee houses. People who like cats and dogs. Those are a part of the
Yeah,
mysteries.
I
So
see
they're
that.
really kind of fun characters with an amateur sleuth usually is the main character.
Oh, okay. Okay. Rather than a detective or a PI, or a police detective or a private investigator, or it's an amateur sleuth.
Yes, but they have a partner in crime. For example, in my books, my amateur sleuth is a retired school teacher. She's an African American woman, and this has become her hobby since she's retired. And she actually, her next door neighbor is a retired homicide detective. So she has a person she kind of runs things by, and he tries to keep her out of trouble. So a lot of cozy mysteries, you'll have a love interest who may be a detective or on the police force, or
Okay.
they may have just a neighbor or someone who they can run to. So you have a little bit of someone with expertise, but a lot of times the amateur sleuth is just being nosy and snooping.
Oh, okay. So you have a book coming out in October, but what's your last book that's published now? Do you have a copy of your more
Yes.
recent book?
So this is my most recent book. This was published in May, and this is actually the
Okay.
fifth and final book of the Reed family series. And these are kind of called mystery romance. And the Reed family series is about a group of siblings. So I call them the crime fighting family because I started it off with the middle sister. She's a
Okay.
homicide detective. And then another sister is like a forensic artist. I have one who's an assistant district attorney. Then I have a brother who is a criminal scene investigator. And in this last book, Wounded Heart, he's just a true crime author. He used to be a reporter. He's turned best-selling true crime author. So each of the books I kind of deal with a case that the siblings are dealing with. And I kind of like it that they kind of get together sometime and talk and converse about the case that they're on. So it's a family element to each of the books that you follow.
Okay, so do all of the titles have heart in them?
Yes.
Okay, so the first
Yeah.
one was Broken Heart, and then what are the
It's
other five? The last one was
Troubled Heart.
Wounded Heart. Okay, Troubled
Yeah,
Heart.
yeah.
Okay,
And the third one is Relentless Heart, and the fourth
okay,
one is Faithful Heart. So yeah, I kind of went with hearts with all
okay.
of them. And then I have a novella in between with the mother. I decided, I couldn't leave mama out.
So the
So hers
novella
is just a
connected is
novella called With All My Heart. So yeah.
okay.
Okay.
I like that. So I
Okay.
noticed that your books are a little thicker, and I know a lot of authors are leaning towards shorter novels these days, but it looks like you still lean toward the longer stories.
Yeah, this is actually not that long. It's just the book is a short, a smaller size book, but it's kind of novella. I didn't go over 40,000 words with this books. Now with my cozy mysteries, I go 50 to 55,000.
Okay,
So yeah.
so,
Uh,
we're
Joy.
not going over that then.
Mhm.
No, with
No.
my indie work, I try not to go over 55. Well, 60,000, I think, is for my private investigator books. But when I was with a traditional publisher, they required like 80,000
Yeah.
words, which is a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of
So
words
yeah.
on one storyline.
Yes.
Joylyn Ross says she was the lucky editor of the
Yes.
publishing house that signed you for your book
Yes. She
deal.
surely did. I
Yeah.
appreciate her so
Yeah.
much.
Joylyn watches the show every week. I pretty much, I mean, almost every week. She's a very, and from the beginning, she's watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She was on our first show. She was one of the guests on our very first show. So, and she's
Awesome.
been watching it. So now, do you publish other authors too?
Yes, a few years ago, when you start a publishing LLC, you kind of don't want to be the only author on that publishing company. So, yeah, I opened up to other authors, I think in 2016. So, I usually work with new authors who have never been published before, and I take them through the process I go through. I have a couple of editors that I hire. So, editing is first up. And I usually look at that work. If it's not ready for the editor, I may send them back to do some rewriting, which is, not always fun to tell a writer to do. But sometimes you don't really want to waste too much money with the editor until you really have a cleaner copy to work with. So I kind of do that with authors as well. And then, of course, I do book covers. So I usually do the book cover, the book formatting, and I work with them on setting up their. Now, I'm not one of those publishers where I take control of their ISBNs and copyrights. I make sure they have ownership in everything. So my company is more of an author services. I'm helping you get published, and I'm teaching you along the way what's the difference between KDP, What's the difference between Ingram Spark? Which one do you really want to focus on, or which one do you want to choose? So along the way, I'm being a teacher, a coach, until we get that book ready to go out into the world.
I love what you said about not wasting time sending it to the editor before it's ready.
Mhm.
As an editor myself, I often tell people that when you just send an editor your first draft without even reading it over, you're actually costing yourself more money,
Yes.
because there are some editors who charge by the page, some charge by the hour. And if it takes them a long time to finish your book, then that means they're going to charge you more. But
Mhm.
if you take it, at least take the time to correct your grammar and spelling mistakes, that gives them the opportunity to focus more on your story structure and its flow, and then you're going to have a better product in the end.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, I do get first drafts sometimes. So I'm like, nope, you're not ready yet.
Yeah. I have a question about, you said you tell people don't necessarily know the difference between Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark. So tell us what the difference is between Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark.
Sure. So I always tell authors, if you the wider you want to go, you probably need to go with Ingram Spark, because Ingram Spark is under the Ingram family, that organization who really sends your books all over globally. So if that's your case, and especially if you want to be in libraries, you probably definitely want an account with Ingram Spark, especially for your paperback. For your ebooks, I suggest you can go through KDP if you want to do the ebooks, because Amazon does have its little system. When you go with them, they kind of push your books a little bit more so when you're in their KDP system.
Mhm.
But for authors who want to keep it simple, because Ingram Spark does have a cost, I think it's like $49 to do your ebook and your paperback together, and then it's an annual fee to stay in their catalog. But if you don't want those costs, then KDP, which is under Amazon, is probably your more cost-effective, budget-friendly option to go with. And they do have wide distribution with their paperbacks, but some people, unlike libraries or other booksellers, if they see your book is with Amazon, sometimes they may not want to purchase it, just because Amazon is considered a competitor. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things you have to think about, but Amazon has its benefits. If a lot of people like the Kindle Unlimited program, they do really well with that. So you kind of just have to decide, what you want, where you want your book to go. And yeah, so I try to explain that to authors.
Now, Amazon does provide expanded distribution, but they don't do it with children's books. Or I think it's because of the color printing,
Mm-hmm.
because I have all of my books are through them. My last book, which is a children's book, I'm going to also do it with Ingram Spark, because I wanted to do the hardcover, and I also want the distribution through other stores. Um, but all of my books are on Ingram, because I buy as a bookseller, still a book retailer. I still have an Ingram account. So all of my books are there except my children's books, because Amazon doesn't do the distribution with children's books because they're in color. So I may end up doing more than one of my books through Ingram Spark, but I know my last one I'm going to do, but it's my first time dealing with them. So it's going to be a learning curve, I know. And hopefully it won't be too bad. But I get a lot of people asking me about formatters. So it's good to know that I can refer. I have somebody I refer them to, but he's actually in Nigeria. So I'm glad to have someone in the States that people can actually talk to, because a lot of people don't know about the formatting. Um, for children's books is different. I don't do for my children's books, I don't do it myself. For my regular adult books, I do it myself. And I figured out how to do it. The first time it took me a lot of trial and error to figure it out. Then I wrote down all the steps. So then when I did the subsequent books, it was, easier.
Yeah, it definitely takes some practice.
The page numbering is the
Yeah,
tricky part on the
that'll get
format.
you. Yes.
Mhm.
That's
Because
when
it's
you're doing
hard.
front matter, when you have a lot
Right,
of front matter.
right. It's tricky and it takes a minute to figure it out. So what do you see yourself going in terms of services? Do you see yourself doing more in terms of books and not doing as many services as you were in the past? Just what are your plans moving forward?
Yeah, so I'm pretty established. My kind of book design, book cover design services is Ty Web and Creations. And I've been doing that since 1999. So I'm telling my age and all my gray hair is showing anyway. But yeah, it's that's been my side hustle. And I still have a day job. So that's been my
Okay.
side hustle for a long time. I consider it will probably be my side hustle after I retire. And I'm not that far from retirement now, actually. It's kind of weird. Looking at how many years I've been at my day job. So I am a believer of multiple streams of income. So I know a lot of people like when you go full-time author, you're just gonna be writing. I see myself doing that, but I also see myself taking a break and still doing my creativity with the book cover design as well, and
Mhm.
still helping authors. So I'm just one of those people. I like to be doing a lot of things. And I think it helps my creativity when I'm not just sitting there in front of the computer, just writing. Sometimes, scenes come in my head and I jot them down or I dictate them, record them on my phone and go back to it later. So I definitely see full-time author these days can be multiple streams of income, definitely.
Right. It's not just about selling the book.
Yes, exactly.
It's but why? Because while you're waiting for somebody to buy the book, you could be doing other things.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Totally with you on that.
Yeah. So I had one more question about your new book series is your new one is an unsavory mess. So that's not in the heart. That's not in
Yes,
the heart.
so the An Unsavory Mess is actually book number 5 in my Cozy Mystery series. So I don't have the cover for that one, but I do have the very first book in that series, and that's
Okay.
Deep Fried Trouble.
Okay,
And I
Deep.
wanted to
Okay.
show you this because I'm actually offering this for free. You can go to my website, towermoody.com, and download it. Now you will get added to my mailing list, but if you want to unsubscribe later, that's fine. On my mailing list, I do give book recommendations from my author friends. So I always share good books as long and also with what I'm doing next in my book world. But yeah, Unsavory Mess is book number 5. And for those of you who may be following along, Eugenia Patterson, she's been through one mystery after the other. And this one is going to be her 45th high school reunion. So she's like the class of 1975. And
Oh,
she
okay.
meets up with a nemesis from high school. You would think these ladies in their early 60s wouldn't have issues, but they do.
Oh, sure.
Um,
How many
but
books do we have altogether?
You can have issues at any age.
yeah, I think you will definitely find that out in this book because the nemesis turns out dead.
Uh-oh.
And Eugenia and her
You got
classmate are in
60-year-old women
trouble.
killing each other.
Somebody did something to this woman. She wasn't a very well liked classmate. So yeah, that's been a fun mystery to work on.
That sounds fun. How many books do you have altogether?
The book that comes out in October, I think it's book number 15 for me as far as fiction books. I have done a few anthologies that I put together and then a couple of nonfiction books. So I
Wonderful.
don't know how much
Oh,
that is altogether, but
About
it's book
90.
number 15 for fiction.
Well, how long think you're gonna stick this writing thing out? Because it's fun, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Before I was watching the show, you guys had some great guests before me, and I was sitting plotting out my next book series. So I kind of look ahead. I try to think like a publisher. So I kind of have a publishing schedule about 2 years out. I
okay.
don't know if I'll stick with it. Sometimes things happen and you push the book back.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to think ahead about what's next in the series, how many books I want to do in the series. So yeah, I do think about that.
Well,
Okay. And the authors that you're working with, do they have some titles that are coming out soon as well?
Not just yet. Let's see. No, they all came out earlier this year. Actually, one of them, well, I'm having a brain moment. She is actually going to be at the festival, I think. Vashti Sherrod.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, so I did her book. It came out in February.
Okay.
And I should know this.
That's okay. We can't retain everything. Our
No, I
brain,
can't. See, this is what happens
you
when you
can't.
get old.
Yeah,
You get
well,
old.
you
Girl,
have more and more information. It's hard to kick it out.
Yeah.
You have more and more on the brain.
I wanted to make sure to show her book because she had a great story when she came to me. She was in her 70s and she had an experience with, we call it the Karen, where she ended
Okay.
up being placed in jail at her age. And so she went through the court system for a while, trying to get her rights back. So she had a really good story. And I was so glad she came to me with it, because I enjoyed reading it and working on it. I have it pulled up on my phone. If I can show you the cover. Let's see. Sorry, I should have been prepared to promote my authors.
Well, you don't know necessarily what we're going to ask.
No, I did.
And believe it or not, we don't know what we're going to ask.
it's just a conversation that
Yeah,
flows.
this is a
That's what we like to
conversation.
do.
And a lot of questions come up during the course of the conversation. So.
Okay, I think I found it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just really wanted to promote her book because it was such a joy to work on. Let's see. Vashti Sherrod. I don't mean to stop y'all from talking.
Well, we're just waiting on you.
Okay, here it is. I don't know if you can see it on my phone. Reclamation.
Yes.
Okay, so she sent me something the other day. I think she's going to be at your festival.
She is. It's virtual though. The festival is entirely virtual this year because of COVID. We're not. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed and my toes that 2022 we'll be able to do in person.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah,
because
if people just cooperate, wear your mask,
exactly,
and get vaccinated.
Yeah. Now I know why some people may not want to, especially if they've had COVID, they may not need it.
Yeah,
but with it seems from the reports I'm hearing, the people who are going to the hospital are unvaccinated people. Mm-hmm. So that should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
You need to get vaccinated. I'm not for children getting vaccinated though, because they're still developing and there's too much that we don't know about the vaccine. And a lot of times they'll find out, or pregnant women, because like years later, they'll find out that this particular drug or vaccine impacted people and some of them end up with some kind of malady or some dysfunction. And so I'm not, I'm really not for doing children under 12, maybe over 12. But people, is if they want to not get COVID, where it's just attacking them, where they have no defenses, they should get vaccinated.
Well, the number of people who have been vaccinated who got COVID is way lower than the number of people unvaccinated people who have gotten COVID.
Right. And the people who are vaccinated that get it don't get like really ill from it. It's more like a cold, or a bad cold. So I just will be glad when COVID is behind us. And I'm sure everybody will be.
Yeah, the whole world.
It seems like it just keeps moving. It keeps moving. Like it'll peak somewhere, then it'll wane, and then it'll go over here, and then it'll peak there, and then it'll go. It's a very resilient virus.
It is. Yes.
The microscopic world can be powerful.
Absolutely.
Yep, it's been very humbling.
Yeah,
I
it
told
has
someone the other
been.
day, yeah,
It has
2021
been.
was slightly better than 2020, sort of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Until now,
barely.
it's like now you're like, I think we're back where we were.
It is
Well,
better.
well, unfortunately, we only have a couple of minutes left. So if you can remind us about Wounded Heart.
Sure. Wounded Heart is the last book in the Reed family series. And basically, he's a true crime author who gets connected back with his ex-fiance. They broke up 15 years ago, and she is the FBI agent on a case. So they're following a cold case. And they're wondering if a serial killer who he just recently interviewed had something to do with this missing girl that went missing years ago. So yeah, it's a cold case. FBI agent teamed up with an author they were supposed to get married 15 years ago, but she went off to Quantico. So they have those things to deal with.
Okay. Then Tyora, where are you based?
I'm in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the South. Yes.
Okay.
Where it's
Okay. I wasn't
hot and
sure
sticky right
if
now.
it was Atlanta or Atlanta area or whatever. So tell people how they can get your books or get in touch with you online or your website and your social media.
Sure. I would start with my website, TyораMoody.com, and pretty much every place I'm on: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I use my name, Tyora Moody, and I'm wide, so you can find me on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Apple Books, Kobo, everywhere. So
Okay, wonderful.
And
Well,
are you well, before we hang up,
okay.
are you accepting any new authors? Because we always have people who ask when a publisher comes on the show.
yes, they can go to my website, and that website is actually Time Publishing, TYMM publishing.com, and they can take a look at my submission guidelines. So I don't take just anything. So just read through what I take, and we can talk.
Well, all right. I put it into the chat for people who are looking. And that's
Thank you.
TYMMpublishing.com.
Yes, that's it.
Awesome. All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for
Tyora.
having
Good,
me.
good seeing you again. That's
Oh,
been
you
about
too.
10 years ago, or a
It
little
has
more than
been.
that.
It's been a
little more
while.
than that.
It's amazing how time flies.
Yeah, and I didn't know you were writing all those books, so I'm glad I got a chance to find out about that. I thought you were doing, still doing mostly services, but it's good that you're writing.
Yeah, it's been great. I've been enjoying the ride.
Well, congratulations on that, and all the success with your books and your business. And so you're not doing the virtual book tours any longer.
Not anymore. Yeah, I
Okay.
retired them. But if people want, I know people, I have people I can recommend. I used to do websites. I have people I know who do websites. I don't, but
Okay.
I could tell you other people.
Okay. I think LaShonda Hoffman does book tours.
I always send people to her.
Okay, so that's who I thought of, but I thought you did too. But the person that asked me, I will give him LaShonda's information. So thank you so much for coming on Black Authors Matter TV. And
thank you so much.
We'll hope to see you soon.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
You too.
Good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.